So, ladies and gentlemen, couple days back, the Malian farmers were transporting logistic and they were going to Niono. They were passing a border community. So, on the outskirts of this community, they were ambushed. And, ladies and gentlemen, in this ambush, some Malian personnel were neutralized. One of them surrendered, and it was an unsuccessful mission.
صنع دروب العز للأجيال هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي حلم الأبات على الطغاة زئيره قد فاق صولة ضيغ من رجالي لولا قوانين الصوارم في الورى لم يبتني الأحرار صرح معالي بدر منار هداية الأجيال العز للأجيال قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي صبر الرجال وهمة الأبطال صنع دروب العز للأجيال صبر الرجال وهمة الأبطال صنع دروب العز للأجيال هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي واكتب على صحف الإباء قصيدة خطت بحبر المدمع السيالي يا أيها السادات في زمن العبوديات للأنذال والأوغال الرحمن رمز حمية دينية المقام العالي منكم سوى إيمانكم إن المهند صانع الآمال صبر الرجال وهمة الأبطال صنع دروب العز للأجيال صبر الرجال وهمة الأبطال صنع دروب العز للأجيال هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي هم يا قصيدي للكرام مقدما تيجان مادح رصعت بلآلي تيجان مادح.
Now, the Malian farmer general staff came out with a communique. Now, let me explain what just happened there and why this particular incident helps build up a premise as to why the Malian armed forces at this point, that in my opinion is a little bit overstretched, needs a VDP. If you ask the Malian people, are they ready to defend the homeland? They will tell you that 98% they are willing and they are ready. It is not like we've not seen these guys do their thing. You know, during the April 25 attack, we saw what role the Malian civilians played. These guys are really, really battle ready. If they are put through the normal training, we know what they are capable of doing. Now, that said, when you look at this type of attack, it is an evidence, a clear evidence that the Malian farmers are overstretched. Number one, the terrorists had a cell in that vicinity I'm trying to decouple this whole incident to you. They have a cell in that vicinity. They have personnel that carry out their human surveillance. They had drones. They had capabilities. They had logistics. I think this particular corridor is heavily militarized by the JNIM personnel. Now, this particular incident is not an estimation of the full capability of the JNIM in this region. Now, this is where the VDP is important, because the VDP can play a very, very crucial role in situations like this. Now, here's the thing. The Malian farmers were spotted from a very long distance. And if you look at the environment where the ambush took place, the Malian farmer entered the murky terrain and the vehicle sank, and that was the right place the ambush took place. Now, the terrorists must have been monitoring the movement of the Malian farmer before the ambush was initiated. But they knew the terrain more than the farmer knew that terrain. They knew that that particular part of the logistic route was going to be where the farmers were going to have problem. And that was where they decided to attack the farmer. Now, what can I say about the main operation? The elements of the JNIM, they came in with GPMGs. You can see the PKM machine gun with them. And they came in with other long-range capability. They had drones, so they had visual acumen of what was going on. You know, they knew how many farmer personnel were capable of fighting back. You can see they were spotting. So they had a good command control of the entire place. So, and when you look at the number of farmer personnel that was actually supporting the convoy, it was a few farmer personnel. And now, does this mean that the farmers are not good enough? No. They were outnumbered, they were outgunned. The element of the JNIM in this region, they have more understanding of that particular terrain. It's raining. The farmers never knew that they were going to run into that type of murky terrain. The terrorists, knowing what that terrain looked like, they knew that that was where the farmers were going to have their problem, and that was going to be the best place to ambush the farmers. And they did. And ladies and gentlemen, one of the personnel surrendered, which he is supposed to, because, I mean, what's the point in fighting how many JNIM personnel? You can see that numerically, they outnumbered the farmers. They had, you know, when you look at the rifles they had, the farmer had AK-47, whose effective range is about 300 meters. And the JNIM started engaging even before they reached the effective range of the AK-47. So they had PKM that can travel without a bipod 1,500. But with a bipod, it can travel 3,500 meters. So it's a different ball game entirely over there. Now, this is where the VDP would have been very, very important. It doesn't mean that the VDP is going to give you one solution that solves all the problem, but it alleviates the situation of a Malian farmer personnel that is overstretched. Now, if you look at what just happened there, I want to believe, I stand to be corrected, the Malian personnel did not know what that terrain looked like. They did not expect to be ambushed like that. They probably knew the route, but they did not know the condition of the route. And this is where the VDP comes in, because they are present, they are volunteer personnel that are resident in that environment. So they know where they have to move through, they know who is where, and they would have been running, you know, patrols, constant patrol in the region. So it would have been able to pipe down the JNIM escalation in that particular environment. Even if it is not an armed VDP, but I think the best type of VDP you can have is an armed VDP. You know, if they have a VDP, even if it's for personnel surveillance, if it's for, you know, intelligence, this type of situation would have been averted. Now let's go to what the Malian Farmer General Staff said. They said the General Staff of the Malian Armed Forces informs the public that on July 12th, a logistic convoy of the Malian Armed Forces was attacked by armed terrorist group near the village of Ndjela, a few kilometers from Niono. The attack occurred while the convoy was immobilized after getting stuck in the mud due to heavy rain along the route. The assault was repelled thanks to a firm response from farmer troops who were rapidly deployed to the scene. The preliminary toll indicates that several elements of the JNIM were neutralized. Sweeping operations and the pursuit of the attackers are ongoing in the area. The General Staff of the Malian Armed Forces reaffirms the Malian Armed Forces' determination to pursue security operations across the national territory with rigor and commitment. It calls upon the population to maintain its support for and confidence in the deployed forces. United, we shall prevail. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the report we have from the Malian General Staff. Does the Malian army have the capability to respond to this type of threat? Yes, absolutely. A drone strike, couple drone strike will be able to neutralize all these enemies. But there is a need for the Malian Armed Forces to look into the VDP mobilization. Even if you are going to deploy your reconnaissance drones, offensive drones with ISR capability, whatever type of drone, when you have a VDP, you have good command control. You have good coordination because the VDP activity is going to be integrated with the General Staff of the Malian Armed Forces. So they can give you early warning signals of whatever is going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, this can happen in Burkina Faso, but it really happens, and that is because the VDP is actually playing a role. So ladies and gentlemen, I stand to be corrected, but you can give me your opinion in the comments. I'll see you by 12 a.m. where we are going to be talking about what just happened today.